The crack of rifles broke the solemn morning. The small bundle of petite white flowers in my metallic fingers, already soggy from the rain. The sound made my auditory processors peak painfully, but it was incomparable to the pain that seemed to grind against my delicate inner workings. The rifles cracked again, 7 of them at once. The men holding them also held back their tears with the same shaky determination. But me? I could only wish to cry as I gazed at his face, the rain slicking off the small force field that protected his exposed upper half. He looked so peaceful, laying there, like a marionette with its strings cut. But I could see the deep creases still in his brow, forged from many a stressful night at the helm plotting courses and agonizing over shipping lanes. I could see the soft lines around his eyes drawn by a lifetime's worth of mirthful adventure. Skin tanned by the suns of 1,000 different planets. Maybe more. But even now, remembering its, at times feverish, warmth, it felt like a vital component within had ruptured as I accepted the cruel reality. I would never feel the warmth of his skin ever again, or hear that roguish laugh as he told some unfathomable story to wide-eyed onlookers at some nameless bar. I was lucky I still had recordings, made in odd moments when I thought the inevitable impossible. The rifles cracked for a third and final time, one of the men letting out a choked sob as he lowered the wooden-stocked traditional rifle used for the salute. It's odd how in these moments, when it's all you have, that the past becomes so clear. I remember the day he found me, or rather the day we found each other. I came into existence a long, long time ago, on a planet untouched by the myriad species of the galaxy. A world of living metal and organic machinery. Fully formed from the moment I stepped out of that metal mountain, my first memories are ones of awe and terror. Running from machines much larger and more hostile than myself. I don't remember exactly how long I roamed that world, alone and afraid. How long I searched in vain for another machine like myself. Then, he arrived. His ship plummeting from the sky like a burning stone. I remember watching the machine fall from the sky, so unlike any other I had seen before. Then I remember running. I ran for days on end without stop, without tiring, driven by a relentless curiosity that burned as bright as the sun until I found the crash site. Until I found him. I remember that first night so clearly, staring from the tree line just beyond the reach of the fire's light. Enamored by this being made not of metal, but something else entirely. His skin was pink like the blossoms in the trees, 4 limbs not unlike my own protruding from a central trunk, with a head on top. They stared into the burning coals with a forlorn expression, an odd metal device in their lap as they drank from a clear vessel labelled ethanol. I watched curiously as they picked up the device, staring at it strangely. I shifted my weight to get a better view, a dry twig snapping underfoot. In a flash, the device was pointed in my direction, the hand holding it, wavering unsteadily. "Show yourself!" The words were foreign, strange, and stated with an unnatural smoothness. Yet I still understood their meaning, and it compelled me to emerge from the tree line. I remember the look of fear on their face, realizing as I got closer that they were a he. The object began to shake in his unstable grasp, his grey eyes widening in shock as I stepped into the light. The object slowly fell down by his hip, an awestruck look upon his face. "What? Who are you?" I remember so clearly being unable to answer that question. The sound of the priest's hymn shook me from my reverie, causing me to look upon his still face once more. The first weeks of our steadfast relationship were filled with adventure, hunting down the machines that had once terrified me to scavenge parts of his broken ship from their broken bodies. I remember the smile on his face as he yanked the first power cell from the belly of a dead razor tooth, covered in luminescent blue oil. I remembered his words, so odd to me at the time. "We're gonna live!" He had cried with such jubilation it was infectious. It brought about the first of my 3 revelations about humanity and their star-bound brethren. They live. For better or worse, they will fight for their survival if they have even the smallest glimmer of hope. My ocular senses wandered to the calloused hands, folded over his stomach like he was gazing at the stars. Oh, the stars. I remember the way he gazed up at them one night. The smile on his face as he lay there and pointed to each glowing pinprick in the sky. Calling them by name like they were just a moment's walk away. I remember the melancholy on his face as he pointed to spots where stars still shone, explaining that they had long since died out. Then he made me a promise, one that still echoes in my databanks as loud as when it was said. I know they seem far away right now, but I promise I'm going to show you all of them, every single one. Their people, their worlds and cities. You'll love it, I promise. That was the first time I encountered the word love, a word I understood in theory but not in practice. How could one love any amount of superheated plasma? But, as promised, he showed me. Awe, curiosity, and in many cases terror resided in the faces of those we met on our travels. I remember having nasty words thrown at me, but I cannot remember what they were. Blotting out the unkind words were memories of bars, restaurants, clubs, and activities so beyond even my wildest dreams. He taught me to dance, introduced me to the wonders of galactic cuisine. I never knew food could have such a flavour. He brought me to movies and plays, introducing me to the myriad of beautiful cultures and peoples across the galaxy. And, just like he promised, I grew to love it the same way he did, able to name the stars and constellations as though I put them there myself. Thus, leading to my second revelation about these beautiful beings I shared the galaxy with. They love. They love food, entertainment, and fine liquors, but they also love each other, constantly inventing more ways to share in each other's company. They create music, they cook awe-inspiring dishes, they dance away the night in each other's arms. They live to love, and they love to live. But as I watch the lid of the coffin be lowered over my lover's face, before he is interred into the earth from whence he came, I am reminded of the final, painful revelation this wonderful man had brought me. Just as these wonderful beings of flesh and blood live and love like I do, there is one road I may never follow them down. They die. It was supposed to be just another wonderful day. We'd offload our cargo, go get something to eat at a restaurant or bar to relax. He spent half our credits on beer for the night and booze for our travels, and I'd watch on in tempered amusement as he gathered a gaggle of fresh friends to tell his stories to for the night. But that's not what happened. I barely saw the blaster, but he saw it plain as day, leaping from his seat to push the emitter away from its intended victim. I was slow, too slow to react as the gunman shouted something while fighting over the blaster. Then it went off, and I watched him fall to the floor, holding his chest where the flesh still steamed. My world fell apart in an instant as I knelt there, unable to comprehend the thought of a mortal wound. My beloved gasping and clawing for air while the gunman bolted out the door. I remember looking into his eyes as they rolled wildly in panic, begging him to look at me. But the moment he did, I wished he hadn't. He grew calm, the light in his eyes dimmer than before as he reached up with one blooded hand to stroke my face. That smile, stained pink with blood, reminded me of just how brave he was. I'm sorry to break my promise, but keep exploring, my love. You have so much left to see. A cough and a final rattling breath in. Do it for me. I don't know how long I stood there in the rain, watching as they filled the grave with fresh soil and laid a strip of turf over the top. Ever so gently, I set the small bouquet of baby's breath atop his gravestone, taking one final look at what was inscribed before turning away. I would come to visit every year on the day of his passing, to tell him of all the wonderful adventures I had gone on, of the wonderful people I met along the way. I'd get lunch from the human-owned bakery a few blocks from the cemetery and eat it with him. Almost 200 years had passed, and while his stone had started to crumble, I could still read the words inscribed, having committed them to memory. As I gathered my things and set yet another bouquet of baby's breath on the stone, I found myself reading them yet again. Corporal William Henry Studebaker, 2180 to 2250. May his spirit forever dance among the stars. I could only smile wistfully as I finally turned away from the headstone. I had a delivery to make on my home planet. A burgeoning new republic formed almost exactly 100 years ago, after I put the system on the galactic map. While some companies and many independent ventures refused to deliver to the system due to its isolation, I am always happy to make a run through the Studebaker star system, in memory of the man who brought me to the stars, and now rests among them.